it was the functionality, right, TJ? Like we needed something that could be deployed virtually anywhere. We didn't want to have to change locations to accommodate for like an Ethernet access or like standalone power. We really wanted to make sure that we could put these wherever we wanted to.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Build with Hyperlockers podcast. We're on episode 2. This is a podcast that features a mix of conversations with locker innovators and entrepreneurs discussing trends and opportunities with lockers. Super excited. We're getting ready to start this episode number 2 with our friends from Relai, Miles and TJ, which is one of our first companies we worked together and launching onto the Harbor Marketplace, building hyperlocal apps within cities to leverage for your businesses. So without further ado, let's dive in. Hey everyone, this is Van. Today I'm super excited. We got Miles and TJ from Relai. Welcome to the show, episode number 2. How's you guys' day been going?
Pretty good. Good. Glad to be here.
Where are you at to this these days, TJ?
I'm in Atlanta, Georgia at the moment.
Atlanta, Georgia. How about Miles?
Richmond, Virginia.
Cool. And that's pretty exciting. We got lockers growing in both those cities right now. You know, we started in Richmond together. Now we're expanded to Atlanta. For the listeners who may not know, you guys are the founders of Relai, a company that we've had super fun working with. When did we first meet? It's been a while now, Miles. When did we first kind of start working together?
Fall of 2022.
Fall. So we're past our 1-year anniversary. We didn't even have a dinner or a celebration.
Man, we still haven't even met each other. That's
We talk almost every day and we haven't met in real world, but I think we've met each other, but we haven't seen each other in flesh, you know?
Right.
That's awesome. And so you guys are the founders of Relai. You've been doing this a lot. For the listeners that may not know what Relai is, what is Relai?
Yeah, nice and neat. We build applications that make exchange zones easy to use. Any of these harbor towers, you can use a Relai app for a whole bunch of different use cases. So that's the long and short.
So you mentioned you build applications for exchange zones, and what kind of applications are they, and what is the concept of an exchange zone?
Yeah, so a big part of our brand is the name Relai comes from my background. I ran track and field in school, and so the whole notion of a relay race and working together and coordinating, we try to like take that same ethos and bring it as the culture of the product. So the exchange zone is what we've labeled these harbor towers, and their locations for convenience. The apps van, where we really focus on dropping off and picking up for Facebook Marketplace, selling locally if you're a pop-up vendor, or you sell locally, you're a retailer who doesn't have a physical brick and mortar, and then the company avenues to buy from those other retailers. So peer-to-peer, selling, buying, those are our main buckets.
That's awesome how you kind of made these different apps for these different use cases, including the Facebook Marketplace, empowering these local merchants. They can use the exchange zones. And you guys been working on this business before, even working with us when we met in last fall. How did you come up with the concept of this to start working with small businesses and this exchange zone concept before we started working together?
Man, that's a lot of TJ in some of our first iterations of the business.
Yeah. So even prior to working with Harbor, our initial kind of thesis was people like to access things local to them, but it's very difficult because people, to shop locally, you have to go out your way to do so. And so we really started as almost like could think of it almost like a delivery hotline So we would work with these local businesses to say if you need same day delivery or even 2 to 3 hour delivery, then we would handle that for your business. And
You mentioned hotline, so you like had a phone, like a pager. It's like, hey, got a delivery, come pick it up, call TJ's Relay's hotline. We'll be there in 5 minutes, and then you deliver to the customer. What was the concept for that hotline, for that model?
it was just
Yeah.
right. It was just a form like, hey, this customer is here. This is the order and this is the amount, and we would go pick it up and drop it off. But where the relay concept came in was that we would use these exchange points to use less people to deliver around the city. And so we came up with like, hey, we need something physical to store these items so that the connection can be asynchronous. And we ran that. How long we ran that, Miles? For past a few months, but realized we needed something a lot more sturdy to exchange those kind of deliveries.
And how did you come up with the concept of lockers? 'Cause I know before you were doing it, with the hotline model, the form, going out and doing it. Then you started exploring the concept of lockers. So how did the lockers come up on your mind when you started thinking that you can leverage lockers as a part of the delivery experiences?
Yeah. Like TJ said, we use these open areas, these designated open areas to make these delivery exchanges. And the feedback is what you would imagine. What if somebody's late? That's going to affect my next run? What about safety? What about it's dark and I actually don't want to meet you there? And so we got all of these feedbacks from our existing model about, hey, needing to meet someone at a specified time together was bringing up its own barriers. So then we just started to think about physical nodes that could answer all of those other questions. And that led to other needs, right? We didn't want to give up our locations. We wanted a way to make the locations better. So we how can we introduce a physical node that might answer all of these concerns around safety and timing and convenience?
That's great. That's when you did this initially, you kind of had a low tech solution that was a form. You kind of took a pilot model where, say, get some real world feedback. And then they're saying, hey, these node concept, how can you find something more secure? And then how that evolved, do you guys have experience being developers, or how did you guys kind of say, hey, I want to build an app and make a full tech ecosystem? What was that kind of journey going from trying it out, getting your hands rolling up your sleeves, learning how it works from the end customer, then actually making it, now you guys have 3 apps in your in the app marketplace?
Yeah, that decision was we always knew we wanted to make it a bit more seamless, right? And the most intuitive way to do that was via mobile app. And so we are not trained in software development, but we have come a long way since arriving at that intuition that we need to build a tech ecosystem to facilitate these exchanges a lot more seamlessly. And so from there, it's like what you imagine. Any founders will go through to build a product that they think the world needs, and that manifested in me and Miles spending a lot of time studying software development, learning how to code, learning how to put together an application from front end to back end to deploying in the cloud.
So TJ is a bit more technical here, Van. I think we weren't sure originally that a mobile app is what we needed. If we could have kept it as low barrier as possible, as simple as like a 7 input form, we probably would have. But when we started to do that research about what type of physical thing could address all of these concerns, we were like, man, okay, this whole arena of IoT and short-term storage and, supply chains and last mile logistics, all of this, we were like, all right, jump down that rabbit hole. But we landed on the fact that, all right, to use something like a parcel locker, it really is, the industry standard is a mobile app for that experience. If not a mobile app, a much well sophisticated back end, and you're connected with different couriers and all of the XYZ. So we happened into it.
And is that something you kind of happened into? Just wow, I think you guys went to Home Delivery World, in last summer, and that's where you guys started dabbling into it, and that's where one of how we kind of synced up together. And when you went to Home Delivery World for that first time, what was your guys' kind of thoughts when you saw all these different companies and things out there? What was kind of your experience with that?
Man, it felt like being a small fish in a big pond for a minute. The UPS stand, and all of the brands on that same scale were there, but we were really there to make a vendor connection. We were like, well, can we just buy these things outright and see what happens? And then that's when, and we were hosting on that booth to give we were hosting a startup booth at the event. And that was our way to give some of these bigger people like a reason to talk to us. It's like, hey, we're also participating in the event in a similar way you are.
That's awesome. So you were kind of thinking about, hey, we wanted to use lockers, and thinking about, I can go purchase these lockers. And what's been kind of when you're going through that journey of looking at the option of growing and buying lockers, made you kind of think, well, maybe we can, these Harbor guys got something up their sleeve that makes sense. What kind of made Harbor stand out?
It was the functionality, right, TJ? Like, we needed something that could be deployed virtually anywhere. We didn't want to have to change locations to accommodate for like an Ethernet access or like standalone power. We really wanted to make sure that we could put these wherever we wanted to, as opposed to like being a slave to a wall plug.
Yeah, that was a big part of it. But also the barrier to, lockers are not cheap. And so, getting a handful of those at a time, is a heavy capital expense up front. But working with Harbor has been, the pay per use model democratizes it a bit more.
You use the word democratize. That's funny that you mentioned that. As we're working on some marketing things, coming for an upcoming trade show at CES, and we're like, hey, what's some words that come out that makes Harbor, what we have, more digestible? And we can, one of the words we were floating was democratizing lockers. How do we make lockers open and available to anyone? It's awesome to use that word, because I was literally using it 2 hours before this phone call today when we were kind of brainstorming different ideas on the communication. And you guys have been part of this journey with us, from fall to where we are today. You're one the kind of like the first app on our marketplace launched when we were in the very early alpha phase of building, the Harbor side, getting the lockers deployed. How's kind of been that journey? You mentioned learning technology is one part of it, but kind of looking back, now 1 year since you built it, what's something you kind of wish you knew from the beginning that, man, I wish I knew that 12 months ago that you now know?
Man, there's some probably some technical hurdles that if we had the forethought, just like with literally developing the application, some fixes, I think if we would have knew ahead of time, probably would have saved us 4, 6, maybe 8 weeks. And from a technical perspective, having that forethought would have helped us kind of accelerate development. And then also the complexity of actually like receiving a harbor tower and finding the location, and some of those like initial barriers to actually putting them on the ground. If we would have known some of what to anticipate from like hosts, I think that would have accelerated the timeline a bit. But you know what they say, hindsight is 20/20. But yeah, that's probably the main two things, is like some technical hurdles and location hurdles.
And with you guys being founders and co-founders, how'd you guys meet up? What's the story? I know you mentioned Miles was in track. TJ, how did you guys get together and start building this?
Man, TJ and I, we met in 2019. We did a summer program. It was an intern program in Washington, D.C. And TJ and I, we were part of the same cohort. And I'm talking the original ideas for Relai came out during that summer. Talking with friends, talking to anybody. We spent nights sketching on cardboard boxes. That happened in 2019 at this program in DC, staying on George Washington's campus. Neither of us attended George Washington. Didn't matter.
And you both were from Richmond at that time, and you just somehow conveniently were both in Washington D.C. at the same program.
So the program was designed for college students, and I was a rising junior, and I graduated from the University of Richmond. And Miles was a rising senior, and he graduated from the University of the South, Sewanee. And the program housed a bunch of us around the country at different universities in DC. And so that's where that initial connection happened. And then from there, like Miles mentioned, we spent a lot of days and nights kind of like sketching and drawing up what could be. And then from there kind of went off into the journey.
Sweet. So that's an awesome story. I didn't even know that story. That's how you guys met. And that's good to hear. Those programs actually make synergies and things happen, and meet your next co-founder. And from there, it's like, tell this idea, but you guys in college, how did you guys get money to like fund this startup? Like, do you work in side hustles, or what was the journey for that? It's always hard it's one thing to come to the idea, but executing. You guys successfully now have 3 apps in the App Store, and you're making things happen. So how's been the kind of that journey from taking like the idea on that session, that you're in that program, and now we're in 2023, how's been that journey, and where we are today? It's kind of helping, capitalize it.
Yeah, I think it's important comment is that TJ and I, we both graduate into quarantine. So the yeah, we both opportunities and angles. Yeah, we are quarantine grads, and
you guys get some face tattoos. Did you guys some face mask tattoos on your arms?
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, one of our guys on our team, James, the same thing. He was going to Chico State. Went there 2019, quarantine, student, grad as well. So that was always a big journey. And then when he's sharing the story, it's like kind of he was during graduation, he graduated during quarantine. But what's that like? Like kind of going through quarantine and graduating into this world that's like shut down, and everyone is totally different world than it was in end of 2019 when you went to 2020.
I don't know if you had I don't think you had a graduation at all. And I mean, I imagine that kind of sucked. But I had somewhat of a graduation, but I didn't. What my school did was we were outside and we graduated, but no one walked across a stage. We just stood up and sat down.
And it was like 20 feet from each other.
Yeah, everybody was 20 feet from each other. And you know, graduating into quarantine was a bit. It was a bit weird because when you start college, you don't imagine like graduating and having that pinnacle moment and like it did. It was like, hey, this is, you know, kind of see you, and best of luck. But it was the anticlimactic to graduate in quarantine.
What that does for our business though is, because we have quarantine precautions as a part of our foundation, everything we do is more or less decentralized or distributed. And that's just at our core now, right? Like the whole team works across a bunch of different time zones. That's how we can work, even though Harbor is based in Cali. So we definitely become lean in new ways, right? We get a new type of flexibility having started in quarantine.
Yeah, then the quarantine delivery companies boomed. It was like the gold rush for deliveries, home delivery, but not going deliveries to like stores. So, you know, that kind of helped build the concept even more as you guys saw more and more people not going to brick and mortar locations and having home deliveries and leveraging DoorDash. What's kind of been your take on that during COVID? Kind of saw the boom of it, and where do you see the future of it post-COVID?
That did not help us. That did not help us. There was not a social consensus for what proper movement was yet. So home delivery was still king, because people were like, it's just safer to be where I am. Right there, the willingness to go anywhere still wasn't established yet. So we just had to, you know, stick around and stay relevant any way we could. But post that, when people, you know, when there is that consensus that this is how you safely maneuver through a COVID era, and this is how you don't, then we had a bit more runway and momentum pick up.
And kind of taking that momentum, you know, the other exciting part is you were the first company to be awarded a grant through our ecosystem grant program. And kind of like when you guys came to us and thinking of the grant, how that grant kind of stand out to you, and how did it help you kind of make that your company get to the next level?
Man, Harbor has its own API docs and infrastructure that we need to build with. And at the time, we just did not have the cash to erect a new tech stack. We couldn't do it. And so even if we liked that opportunity and you got the API docs for us to be able to spend the time needed to actually build something with it, that's what the grant did for us.
And with that grant, you know, you guys were off to the races, man. You were like hitting us up every day. Hey, need this, need that. What's this endpoint do? What's this response of their locker? Not, hey, in locker, occupied, rented states. You guys are helping us even find some, you know, bugs in our software. You know, you're helping us like find things. Whoa, shit. TJ, we didn't know the board did that. Good discovery. So with that, that's quite the little rodeo we're part of. These days has been a little bit more stabilized, you know, as you're on the early alpha stage. But one thing that's super exciting, when you actually got those apps in the App Store, you just got usage like immediately. So how was some of that, like, you know, getting this one thing to, like, a lot of people think, oh man, hardest thing is to go build the app. No, that is hard to get the app built. Then the next thing is actually have people use your application. You guys kind of came out of the gate in Richmond. You guys found locations, you know, with us, and you helped get them deployed. And then you actually got users. So what was kind of like the method of getting those users using your guys' apps, and what was kind of the feedback from them?
Yeah, no, it was a journey for sure. You know, we like you said, there's always two sides. When you build a application, is actually building it to make sure it works, right? Like that is difficult. But you build with an audience in mind, because your app is only as useful as the people who are using it. And so we knew that the first application we developed was for like Facebook Marketplace, online marketplaces, that type of use. And so, prior to finishing up and publishing, we would, connect with a lot of users on Facebook to say, hey, here's this new thing. Instead of meeting in person, download, shift, drop off for someone else to pick up. And it's a simple solution to things that people have experienced and had problems with before. And getting into those communities around Richmond was really critical to kind of give us a good jump start for usage out of the gate.
What TJ's not saying is that he's not shy.
Really? TJ's not shy?
TJ's not
like what's an example? Like he says his message on Facebook, did he get like on the street spinning a sign or something? What was he doing out there?
Close to it, right? Anytime somebody sees an exchange zone, there are two questions always. What is that? How do I use it? Those are the first two questions. What is it? How do I use it? And for a good chunk of time, TJ and I, we were just in the street, stopping everybody, put up a table, had a little scrolling display on a tablet, and we just stood outside of these locations, stopping everyone. I'm sorry, not anyone, everyone.
Yeah. So if I was walking by, to say, hey, I think you're next to some restaurants that's got some food, just got done eating, and what do you guys do? So say I'm just walking out of the restaurant, see you guys sitting at a table, but I'm kind of busy, I'm like, I had to get back to work, I need to get to this podcast, or what would be a tactic you guys would do to stop me?
So if you were walking by,
I'm literally standing in front of your path.
So you jump out in front and say, hey, what's up, Van?
Yes.
Give me your money.
Yes.
And then you had them download the app. So how would it work? So you stop me in a path. What happens next?
So what I would do is say, hey, do you know what this is? And then point to the exchange on it, and people be like, no, what is it?
I see this big green. I see this black locker. Here I'm gonna pull up on a screen here, and you got this locker that has exchange zone on it. We have the green branding on. Like, yeah, this looks like something. So, but what's it do? It says exchange zone. What's this exchanging about?
Right, and then we go into the Facebook Marketplace example. Like, hey, last time you bought something on Facebook Marketplace, what did you do? And they're like, yeah, I met up with somebody in a Chick-fil-A parking lot, whatever. And so then we would like, use this instead. And so we would literally like walk with people and with them open their phones to search the app, to download it, and then create the account. And then a lot of them would use it on the spot and see like the magic almost of, you got to tap this button, this door opens. And then by then you probably forgot you were going to work or just ate, because you were just now mesmerized by this new thing.
It was like what their face looked like whoa. It was like, wow.
No, it was always like a surprise. Like, I don't know what they expected was gonna happen. When they see what happens, they, it's like they're taken aback.
Like, kind of like when that door just pops open. It's like,
yeah. The sound too is it gets up.
That's awesome. And you guys been out there now in Richmond. How many locations do you have in Richmond now?
There's 5 locations in Richmond now. 5 locations.
And now Richmond's kind of the beta ground, kind of working out all the processes, and now looks like TJ, we've been talking recently a lot. Now out in Atlanta, expanding. So what's kind of like the vision going into right now, December, getting ready to go into the holidays, New Year. So what's kind of the big goals going into 2024?
Yeah, definitely a large part of it is, Richmond, like you said, was the beta ground. Ran up some usage there. But the goal really is to build on that momentum and to continue that into Atlanta, both with usage and, expanding the physical locations. And we're hoping that, it catches on to be more of a mainstream tool in Atlanta, and then carry us to expand after that.
And then kind of expanding into that 2024 Atlanta, how many uses do you think? What's the big goal? Like saying, any numbers you can share? Top secret? What's that? You guys have some grand numbers you want to hit? Or keeping that close in for this session right now?
We'll keep that close.
Well, we'll work on that in an upcoming episode when we say 1 million, 1 million, 2 million, 500 million milestone. We don't know what that millions are, but we will, when that celebration becomes public, we'll have a party celebration for it. So, you guys have been super fun here on this podcast. We really want to keep growing this ecosystem of collaboration and different things. And one thing I really excited, like with you guys, you talk about these different use cases, but I want to kind of talk more about how can someone use Relai, in the different use cases. You have Facebook, the Shift app, merchant, shopper app. Maybe let's do a quick little power session here. Just like, let's just throw off like 20 use cases that people can use this for, these different apps.
Yeah. All right, TJ. We'll break it up. I got
starting the timer. Elevator.
I got merchant, shopper. You'll do Shift, so you can start with Shift.
Shift. Today, if you're listening, go to the Apple App Store, or the Google Play Store. Search _Shift _. It'll come up. There's two arrows, two opposite arrows, but in a black background. Download it. And when the next time you go to Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, OfferUp, any local marketplace that you buy anything from, download Shift. After you download, create an account. And when you buy something, request that the seller drops it off at your local exchange zone, and then text you a pickup link. And then if you sell anything, tell the buyer that you will drop off at an exchange zone, and then text them a pickup link for when it's convenient for them to pick up. That is today. If you are tired of meeting strangers or going to random parking lots or exchanging 25 messages to find a date and time to execute an online marketplace transaction, download Shift and make your life a little bit easier.
Cool.
Nailed it. Loved it.
I'm gonna start with merchant. All right, merchant. So go to right now it's only available on iOS. All right, but you can go to merchant.relay.us, sign up, make an account to start selling your products. Go on the website, enter your products, enter all your business information, your brand information. You get the products listed. You can do it on your mobile, but people tend to have more photos on their computer. So go to merchant.relay.us, sign up, set up your store. Should take about 5 to 7 minutes. All right. Now, once your store is set up, you pick your service areas, right? Where are you? Harbor lockers are around the country, so you got to choose what particular areas you want to make drop-offs at. Download the Merchant mobile app. Same thing what TJ said. _merchant_. All right. So you'll start to get these orders coming in on your phone, and then you can go to these exchange zones and drop off. All right. So if you're a retailer who wants another channel to make more sales, merchant is great for you. If you're just a pop-up vendor and that seems to be your shtick with Relai using merchant, you can have a pop-up whenever you want. All right. For the side hustle, you're no longer feeling, or you're outgrowing your garage fulfillment center and you need something a little bit more consistent that doesn't take up where you live. All right. Get merchant, sign up, use that. Right. So merchant is for selling, giving people a dedicated way to sell their brands through a dedicated platform. Shopper is the other side of that. If you're not about selling, but you're about buying, cool. Use Shopper, see the local favorites in your area. All right. You want to see who's new and trending. You want to see your local staples. You know, as you move from city to city, right, you can change your service area as a shopper to be like, yo, I'm in Richmond now, I'm in Atlanta now, I'm in Sacramento next. You can do that. So merchant is for anyone who wants to sell. Shopper is for anybody who wants to buy. And it's all locally themed.
Man, you guys are on fire. Look, you've been talking to a lot of people to get these pitches and details so flushed out and precise. So between, the Shift app, the Merchant app, and the Shopper app, anyone can get started. And, it's been super exciting. Like, as these apps now, a couple of these apps been out for a couple of months. One's been, about 6 months, maybe even longer. Time goes by really quick. As we're kind of wrapping up the episode here, is there anything, I should have asked, but you would love to include for our listeners?
Should ask. You can follow us on Instagram at _Relai. That's RELAI. So _Relai. You can follow us on Instagram. For the Shift app and those Facebook Marketplace uses, every market we're in has a buy, sell, trade Facebook group with Shift. So you can go and join the buy, sell, trade group in your local area so that you have a designated spot for people who only want to buy, sell, trade with Shift. So you can find us on the socials, _Relai. Look for your local buy, sell, trade group with us. And then visit the website, relai.us, and you can learn more.
Awesome. Well, TJ and Miles, really excited to have you on the second episode here with Build the Harbor Lockers. We're your amazing partner with us, really growing the ecosystem, everything from building apps, helping secure locations within our local markets. In addition, we really did dive too deep on this episode, but even helping some of our partners with their technology needs. So super excited to connect with you guys and get you on the show here. And also for all of our listeners, like what Miles says, make sure you follow them on Instagram and kind of join their movement together. And everyone have a great holiday and super excited for the new year together. See you guys.
Introducing Harbor's Marketplace Locker Network, open to builders to create alternative drop-off, storage, and pickup services at scale. Get unlimited on-demand access to over 9,000 lockers all across the U.S. with 25,000 locations by 2025. Built by locker innovators with over 15 years of experience and 250 million transactions, we make it fast and easy to integrate. No need to buy, install, or support lockers. Pay per use only when you access. Wondering how Harbor works? Easily integrate your application with Harbor Connect, a full-stack locker API and SDK with complete control of your own user experience. There are limitless possibilities with Harbor. Find a nearby location to store bags, get your food delivered, easily drop off returns, store and exchange tools with your field team, pick up packages, to scavenger hunts. The possibilities are endless. We're Harbor by Luxor One, making it easier to get things securely, asynchronously. Start building your idea today.